All right. What is up? And welcome back to the best
What is up?
commercial real estate podcast in Jinx, Oklahoma. It's the biggest and best, man.
I heard it was second best.
No, it's the only fucking one.
Okay.
We're going to have to edit that now.
Say
Gosh.
that. Dang it. The only one.
So what updates do we got, Braden, before we get started on today's show?
We just spent 2 days in a Sprinter van. That was fun. I'm sure we'll have a cool video releasing on that soon. Gonna try to spice up the content a little bit. Trying something new. Got a new camera. That could be fun. Could suck.
Tell them why we spent 2 days in a
Sprinter van going all over Texas.
Oh yeah, that's way more interesting. So a big package of convenience stores that we're looking at acquiring. Largest acquisition to date. Could be if we take it down. It's going to be in contract by the time this releases. We're negotiating the PSA now. Super exciting stuff. But anyway, we flew into DFW after a long, arduous 4 hours on the tarmac, stuck in a plane, hostage against our will. But we finally took off. And then, 2 days in a Sprinter van, touring around DFW and kind of all the way almost to Houston. Tyler, Nacogdoches, all these weird.
Lufkin.
Yeah, I don't even know all the cities. But hey, so once we launch this project, if we end up purchasing it, it's basically a large sale leaseback from a huge C-store operator in Texas. And I don't know that we've covered sale leasebacks extensively. And we probably should get someone like from Stain Johnson Company that's now Northmark to come on and talk about it. But that's an area of real estate you should get to know, usually involving single tenant net lease buildings. So anyway, that'll be a good topic for a future show.
Yeah, that'll be sick. We're super excited about it. It'll be in contract for a while. Probably start releasing information, next month, February, about it. I know we're putting the marketing package together now. We'll be doing a big equity raise on it. I think it's a $47 million takedown.
Finally, an equity raise that everybody can get all the money that they want in.
Yeah.
if we get it. All right, another note I've got for you guys. We have the coldest weather of the year coming into Tulsa, like much of the country. We're dropping tonight down in near 20, but by Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we will be around with lows of either -0 or 0.
I'm getting uncomfortable just
and
about
so
this.
my pool is already at a temperature, the lowest temperature of the year. But come Tuesday, Wednesday, I think it'll be as cold as it's ever been. There are going to be ice chunks in my pool, Brian's too, and the temperature is probably going to be pushing down almost to 0, 33, 34 degrees. And I've never cold plunged at 33, 34 degrees, so we will be filming another podcast.
Water freezes at 32. What are we doing?
Yes, and your body's going to freeze in 34, 35 degree. So tune in to catch that video. But what we thought would be cool is if anybody wanted to film their own cold plunge during those couple of days and send their videos to us so we can make a little collage of all the podcasters that have decided to try the cold plunge. I know there's a few, not many. I don't know who's going to send in their videos. But if you have an idea to do a cold plunge, you have access to a pool or a tub, and you want to take a video of it, send it to us. We'd love to see who all has decided to try this and how awesome to do it on the coldest day of the year.
Let's make it interesting. Let's put some money on it. If you send us a video of you doing a cold plunge in freezing cold water, we'll send you $100.
Okay, does it have to be outdoor? Does it have to be an outdoor pool?
It's got to be a cold plunge, right? So like it could be a horse trough with freezing cold water in it, but like you need to look cold. I know if it's going to be fake.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put it out. You can't jump in and jump out, guys. Give me 3 minutes for your $100.
3 minutes. I'll maybe do a minute, but I'm not taking $100.
Okay.
3 minutes.
I mean, if you made it like 2.5 minutes, we might still send you the money.
Anyway, it's going to be a ton of fun. That's Tuesday. This is going to release Monday. So you have a day to do your cold plunge
We may
video.
do it Tuesday or we may do it Wednesday of next week.
If it's up to me, it's going to be tomorrow every time.
Yeah.
Let's try it tomorrow.
All right. So the topic for today.
Whoa.
Oh, sorry.
One more. Massive crypto news, right? All of the Bitcoin ETFs got approved. There's like 11, I think, that are trading as of today recording, which is the 11th of January. So that's exciting stuff.
That's exciting. There wasn't a big bump in Bitcoin price, was there?
Not huge, but I would say that some of the altcoins that I own were up 10% yesterday. Yeah. So it was a big day overall for crypto.
Yeah, it seems like the big guys just trying to capture the fees. I mean, there's no doubt they've had massive withdrawals because they can't control the crypto space. So, like, they're just trying to keep the money in-house from my perspective.
Yep, I think so.
But anyway, halving's coming up in April. If you know anything about Bitcoin, or you don't live under a rock, you know about that. That could be huge. That could be another massive run. Another thing that's just going to make this year that much more entertaining.
Yeah, and we're not giving you financial advice.
No, of course not. No, that would be a horrible idea. Why would you buy Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Anyway, topic for today's show.
So today we thought we would take a dump on Dave.
Dump on Dave
Day.
Woo!
And for those of you who don't know who we're talking about, it's the financial guru, very successful teacher of finance, Dave Ramsey.
I didn't know him before we decided to do this podcast. I got to be honest.
Well,
I've never heard of him.
I don't
sure
know
he's
where,
never
I
heard
don't
of
know
me.
where you've been. Yeah,
He's never heard of me.
I don't know where you've been living. But Dave, he has 17. I think I read this, if it's accurate, 17 million weekly listeners.
Wow,
which is massive.
Have you ever watched a show too?
I have watched and listened. Yeah,
I watched some podcasts of his for the first time last night to prepare for our show.
Big in Christian circles, guys, huge. You probably have a class at your church. They're teaching you to be money wise using Dave's formula. But we think it's not conducive to getting rich or to achieving your financial goals. But there are some good things about what he teaches. So we're going to go over his 7 baby steps.
Yeah, 7 baby steps.
Which really is 6 baby steps, but he didn't want to have the number 6. He likes 7. He's Christian.
I think the name summarizes it almost right there. There's 7 steps for financial advice for babies.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, and we don't mean that condescending. It just means we think Dave's in comparison to people that are going to show you how to be financially sophisticated and how to be rich and how to retire young and how to have your financial freedom. We think Dave, in that respect, is more like a preschool teacher with his 7 baby steps, and that there's so much more to learn in order to really achieve your goals and dreams. But without further ado, let's get into his 7 steps, and then we'll have some commentary. But I want to say one of my favorite sayings right now is that thinking is the most difficult of all activities, and that is why so few engage in it. And everybody is looking for the quick fix, the easy checklist. Hey, I don't like to think about money. I don't want to think about my future. If you'll just tell me what to do, I'll just do those things, and then I'll not have to think about it anymore. That's most people that follow Dave. They just want to be told that they're good, that they're checking the right boxes, that they're getting themselves out of debt, and then they switch their brain off and they work their 9 to 5 until they're 70, and they hope that they have enough money to retire. And we think there's a way better way to go about doing that. So,
yeah, start with not turning your brain off and hoping. I'd start with
that.
Probably that's a good start.
All right, so let's get into his steps, and then we'll have some commentary. So Dave's number 1 step is to save $1,000 in an emergency fund. I agree with this step.
Kind of a starter emergency fund, because then he goes into baby step number 3 is 3 to 6 months. But
yeah,
like an emergency, right? Like my HVAC unit's going out, my fridge is going out.
Yeah.
Like again, maybe 1985, $1,000 would be fine for an emergency fund. But like a set of tires is more than $1,000.
Actually, I would say when Dave came up with this first baby step 30 years ago, $1,000 was worth, more. I guess probably $2,500 savings today if you did the inflation calculation.
Okay, good.
But what he's saying there is if you're living paycheck to paycheck without money in the bank, you are at risk for financial ruin, and you need to stop and get money in a bank account immediately. So I agree with step number 1. Whether it's $1,000 or $2,000, is you can't be living with no money in the bank, and if you blow a tire or you lose an HVAC and you got to go borrow that on a credit card just to survive. Terrible strategy. So that's good. Number 2.
Step 1.5, make sure to have a source of revenue.
Yeah.
To save your $1,000.
Yeah.
So his second step is pay off all of your debt except your house. I'm okay with this step for most people, especially when they're first starting out. If they don't have a lot of investments and they're at risk financially, getting rid of high interest credit card debt is a good way to go about it. In fact, you should never be carrying consumer credit card debt at 18% or whatever it is. Anyway,
again, glaringly obvious statement, right? Like the APR on credit cards is like 23%.
Yeah.
you can't be borrowing money on credit cards and think that's a sustainable future. I almost think more of what he's talking about here is like a car loan, right?
Well, he says time to pay off the cars, the credit cards, and the student loans.
Okay. Well, you don't even need to pay off student loans now.
Well,
I mean, you get forgiveness. You
Yeah.
get forgiveness.
But even if you didn't get forgiven, aren't student loans usually pretty low?
Yeah,
interest?
3-4%. And so I would say that should not be a step. It shouldn't be your second step anyway. It shouldn't be pay off a student loan that you don't have to pay back for years at 3%. That would not be included in this step. So I disagree with that part. But I'm okay with car loans getting paid off. They're on a short amortization, and it tricks people into driving a car that they think they can afford when they can't. Yeah. And so paying off car loans, paying off consumer debt, you should never have credit card debt anyway. So yeah, number 2, for the most part, I'm okay with. All right, number 3, he says save 3 to 6 months of expenses in a fully funded emergency fund. What do you guys think about that?
Actually, I don't know what you guys think, but I'm okay with it because what if you lose your job or something like that?
Yes.
It takes you a bit to get a new job.
I mean, just going back to like, I know we're calling them baby steps, but I think that's one, right? Like, I think that's number one.
Number one. Yeah.
Like, we know we shouldn't have credit card debt. We know we shouldn't have stupid car payments. We know we should have at least access to $1,000. Holy hell, right? Like, saving 3 to 6 months of expenses. I feel like that's a solid start. That's a realistic expectation of a good emergency fund. You can lose a job. You can get a new job. You can pay your mortgage.
I wonder what, a lot of you guys, hopefully you're not living paycheck to paycheck. But do you guys go through the mental exercise I did when I was working is what if I get laid off? What if this company closes? Am I ready for that? How long would it take me to get a new job?
Yep.
How much money would I need to survive for 6 months, a year while I'm looking for that next job? If you haven't asked yourself that question, then you're not in a stable financial situation. You need to be planning for things like that. What if my income stops tomorrow? So I'm still with Dave. I agree it's a very, very baby step. This would be something I teach my middle school and high school kids. These are the steps I would tell them. Don't use credit cards. Always have enough cash for 6 months expenses. And so if you don't have that, then don't spend any money until you do have it.
I mean, it's January, so we just got past Christmas, but my oldest son is 9 and he's 40%. He's 40% there to step 1. And he's 9. He's got $400. Like, the barrier to entry is if you have $1,000 iPhone and you don't have 3 to 6 months in the bank, then you are not financially sophisticated and you are at risk. Well, that's why we had to have step number 2, so you can pay off your financed iPhone. People don't even own their damn phone.
You should have a $100 phone until you have 3 to 6 months, and then you could even consider buying a $1,000 iPhone. So
so we kind of agree with everything. Kind of so far.
Well, step 4, I think, is going to get interesting.
Yeah, step 4, we're going to start diverging. Step 4 is he wants you to invest 15% of your household income in a retirement account, like a mutual fund. Mm-hmm. Yep. What do you guys think?
Well, an IRA or 401k or something is I think is what he means.
I mean, I like the idea of a tax sheltered retirement account. I don't hate that. I think if you've got a good 401k match, taking advantage of the max, putting $5,000 in a Roth IRA if you can. Again, don't necessarily hate that. If you start getting into what's going on in that retirement account, I could probably start to hate a lot of that.
So when I was doing this, because you guys know I did this for 40 years. Anything I could get matched dollar for dollar or even 50 cents on the dollar, I was going to do.
Sure.
Because I'm not going to
And if you're in any reasonable tax bracket, when you put it in, you get a 30% bonus because you're not paying taxes on it.
Yeah, right.
It goes in tax-free. You get a free match, grows tax-free.
Yeah.
So guys, once again, these are baby steps. I agree with Dave on this one. And here's why. If you don't have any money, and the first thing you should do, the first thing you shouldn't do is go put that in a risky real estate deal. Okay. So I like the idea of putting money in a retirement account that creditors cannot access, and that you get, free tax deduction on the way in and maybe matching from your employer. And he's not saying 30% of your income, 15%. That way, if any venture you do, right, in your 20s or 30s doesn't go well, right? I had some things not go well. At least you're taking care of your future self. Everyone should have money in a retirement account that's going to be safe from creditors, that is going to grow over time. And I'm okay with that 15% being in the market, and I would do an S&P index fund.
Okay, but here he says a statement under there that I'm not necessarily agreeing with. He says, because if you're still working at 67, it should be because you want to, not because you have to. Well, if all you're doing is investing in a 401k your entire, I don't think at 67 you're going to have very much money to retire. Well, he's saying you want to retire before 67. I'm not sure you can retire before 67 and have a whole lot of money for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and that really
if everything's paid off and Social Security still exists and inflation doesn't exist.
Okay, but he's saying you can retire before 67. Yeah, well, what, 65? I mean, yeah, big deal.
Yeah, once again, I'm okay with this. Whether you can retire with money or not at 65 all depends on your income, right? Because 15% of $25,000 a year probably doesn't get you there. But if you're making $150,000 a year, then it is going to get you there.
Yeah. So what's average household income in the United States these days?
Maybe.
Well,
can we Google that?
Yeah,
can we Google that, Aaron? Average household income in the United States. I'm really interested.
And median household income. They're two different things. The average household income will take into account people that make, quadrillion million dollars a year, and so it raises it. The median is half below and half above.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say.
Okay, median 74. So we're talking about $7,500 to potentially $10,000 that you need to invest a year. In a tax sheltered retirement account, right? Yeah. I agree with that.
I'm okay with that.
I agree with that.
Because once again, you need to be.
I thought we were supposed to be disagreeing with this.
Well, after taxes, 75,000 is only 45,000 or something, right? So.
Anyway. Well, yeah, I mean, that 7 to 10 becomes a lot harder at 40. I mean, if you're bringing home 45 and you're trying to invest.
Hey, I don't mind agreeing with Dave on some things. Okay. So it's only a partial dump on Dave.
Let's go on to the next.
All right. Number 5. Number 5 is save for your children's college fund. This gets a lot of publicity and a lot of likes, and I don't really love it. I'm not against it, okay, because how I understand these accounts is you can invest money tax-free, or does it just grow tax-free?
It just grows tax-free.
It just grows tax-free.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
And so, the once you get all your bases covered, the putting more money in a mutual fund is not a great investment. You're going to average 8 to 10%, and then this money, in order to get the tax-free growth, you've got to actually spend it on higher education. And so what if your kids don't go to college? What if it doesn't cost as much as you thought it was going to? It grew too much. Now you're going to have this tax liability. Like, I'm just not sold that it's necessary. You can invest money in an IRA in the market and not have any restrictions on the money. And it's going to grow at the same rate. You just don't get a slight tax benefit. And in any event, over the 15%, we're going to want you to invest in higher return like real estate, and real estate provides both double or triple the return as this account will, and it still gives tax advantages. So overfunding a 529 plan, I don't think is a good plan. If you want to put a few dollars in there just for, to have some money for college, fine. But what do you guys think?
Well, I think if you were to put money in to a college fund when your kid's 5 years old and you hang on to it for, 15 years, 14 years, that if you put it in real estate, the compounding is going to way out.
Way outperform.
Perform than putting it in a mutual fund or something like that.
And you're not, and there's no restrictions when you pull on that money of what you can spend it on. Yeah. So you can spend it on your kid's college, or you can spend it on vacation, or you can invest it in other stuff. Yeah.
I've kind of got a couple different opinions on this one. I think it's got to be thought of super early, right? Because you've got to take advantage of the cumulative compounding growth of starting early. So if you're just now having a child and you're super young and your children are super young, the idea of putting $50 in a month or hiring them from your company so you can write off the expense, they can make money, they can invest that money and then save up for college, or they don't go to college, they can use it to start a business or buy their first home or something. That makes sense. But I think if it's getting to the point where your kid's 10, 12, 15, right, and you're having to save $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month that you don't have, that's severely hurting your quality of life, and specifically for a college education plan, I think it's too late. I think you really need to start looking at your quality of life and the compounding interest of putting that money somewhere else to put for use for your retirement, right? Yeah. Because if they want to go to college bad enough, they can work their ass off, right? They can throw a ball really well, or they can go get student loans like everyone else, and it works.
Real quick, if you fund a 529, and then what if your kid doesn't go to college, which is happening a lot right now? Then you pay, I think it's a 10% penalty to pull it back out.
Yeah, and think about this, guys. If you start saving in a regular investment account, with higher returns than this account.
Right.
And then you get all the way to the point where your kid goes to college and your kid can get loans at 3% or 4%. Well, then having that money stay invested, that's grown all these 15 years, stay invested at 10%, while he goes and borrows his student loans at 3 or 4%, and you don't have to use the money to pay for that, you're going to, I mean, it doesn't take too much sophistication to understand you're going to be way ahead, right? You're taking advantage of the system. But if in the college 529 plan, you can't get to that money unless you use it for the college. Yeah. So I just don't like the non-flexibility of the option here.
And have your kid open up your mail at your office and write that crap off. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, we've all seen the video of your kid's going to be a millionaire by the time they graduate high school, and it's going to cost you $2 a month. Like, just go on TikTok and type that in. You'll find it.
All right. Number 6. So number 5, we don't love. Number 6, pay off your home early. For most people, this is just plain bad advice, right?
I think
he says this is
unless
the big
right
dog.
now, like unless you have an 8% mortgage.
Yeah. I mean, most people have a mortgage in 3 to 4% range right now. Why would you want to pay that off when you can take that money and go make 20%?
Plus, you get to write off the interest that you pay, so you get it's a double benefit. Not
only
if you
did a tax adjusted return, it would be way better.
If you get a tax, not only are you returning your returns. If you're getting a 3% loan, right, I can go make 15%. I'm making 5 times the compounding return, and we're going to do another show on why the size of your return matters. Okay. Because over time, the rate of your return makes all the difference. So paying something off at 3-4% is just terrible decision. But you could argue, well, Joel, you're in a less risky position if your house is paid off.
Get freaking homestead exemption, dude.
Well,
what risk?
Well, okay, just that if you lose your job, they can come take your home or something.
No,
here's
if you have homestead exemption, nobody's taking your freaking house.
No, they can if you don't make your mortgage payment. Right? That's only from creditors.
Oh, yeah.
They can come foreclose your home.
Yeah, if you don't pay the actual mortgage payment.
You can be at a less risk position, but if you're making good financial decisions, then you didn't overpay for your house. You didn't over leverage your house.
Right.
And so there's nothing to really worry about there. And even then, if you're keeping enough cash on hand like the other steps say to, then if you lose your job, you're not going to have to move out of your house immediately anyway. And so I just think if you do the math on, let's say the average house is $250,000 and you invested that over 20 years or 30 years at 12% versus what you'll save on your mortgage of 3 or 4%, you're talking about probably millions of dollars. So his number 6 baby step is costing you thousands, if not millions of dollars in returns. And it really doesn't provide that much benefit besides that you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, my favorite thing about investing in commercial real estate is positive leverage, right? We find money machines that make 8 or 9% unleveraged. We go and borrow the majority of the money we need to buy the money machine that makes 8 or 9%. We go borrow that at 4% or 5%, or right now 6.5%, 7%, whatever it is. But the money machine makes more than the cost to borrow it. That is called positive leverage. Mm-hmm. So paying off something that you borrowed at 3% is saying, I can't do anything else with this money that makes more than 3%. That's right. So you take it back. Yep.
And you lose the tax benefit.
Outside of risk, that's exactly what that means. And you lose the tax benefit because you can write off interest up to a $750,000 mortgage or something.
Yeah. Now, I will see the comments, that if you borrow money in commercial real estate, it's risky. It is riskier, right? We take on more risk by leveraging, and that way we double and triple the returns, but it does have inherently more risk, so we have to make sure we're really good at what we do. It takes financial sophistication to do that. And so going back to Dave's a preschool teacher, is that he really just allows people to not be sophisticated and to eliminate all risk at the expense of millions of dollars to their future self.
Correct.
All in the attempt to be as safe and secure as possible, put the pacifier in, and you never think about it again. And so, okay, that's not what we're teaching here, right? We want you to achieve your financial dreams. We want you to take back your time freedom.
We believe that with a little bit of effort, you can get an outsized return and just an amazing return, like just what we're offering our limited partners. And again, our limited partners, most of them turn their brain off, right? Like give us money, turn their brain off. That's why they gave it to us to put in this real estate deal. And they're earning double, triple, sometimes quadruple, guys, over the S&P 500 historically on average, or the market historically on average. So when you settle for that, like you said, you're robbing your future self. And it's for convenience. It's for comfort. It's to make yourself not think, right? So just a little bit of effort, a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of Googling, right? And it's easier to have the money.
And I've said it before, but Dave's plan is for people that love their job, that want to do it for their entire life, that always want to be thinking about money, that want to retire at 65 with enough to live on. But I want to ask you, if you're listening, why are you thinking about retiring at 65? Just ask yourself, right? Who decided that you were going to retire at 65?
Well, that's when my body stops working.
The government, okay, did. But I'm saying, asking yourself tough questions. Like, what if you ask yourself how I could retire earlier than 65? Why ask yourself, how do I save enough money every month in order to have $1 million when I retire? Why would you ask yourself that, right? Why wouldn't you ask yourself a better question? Like, how do I make $1 million a year? Or how do I, make $200,000 passively in income by the time I'm 50? Or how do I quit my job by the time I'm 50? Those are, if you ask those questions, now you got to think really hard on how to solve those questions or solve those problems. And that takes a lot of work, and you always are thinking, okay, am I doing enough? So you have that burden. But the burden will help produce results. But if you don't ask yourself that question, then you're just at the mercy of your employer, and you have a hope strategy. You have, like you said, turn your brain off and hope. I'm just going to save this 15% of my income, like Dave says, and I got my 3 to 6 months emergency fund, and I got my house paid off, and I hope when I'm 65 that I have the money I want to have. But why wait till you're 65 to have the money you want to have? Why not set up a plan that gets you there quicker? And that's what we're pitching here. All right. The last step for Dave is not even a step.
I love how we're just to Dave.
Yeah. Dave. The last step is build wealth, he says. Brian, what does it say under there? Does Dave give some real good advice on how to build wealth?
Well, he says, you know what people with no debt can do? Anything they want. The last step is the most fun.
Yeah, think about that, guys. My son doesn't have any debt. Can he do anything he wants? Right? Does not having debt give you the ability to do anything you want?
You have no money.
Yeah, you have to have income and money to do anything you want. You need a lot of money to do anything you want, because people have big dreams and they have big goals. Yeah. And so if you want $1 million house, if you want a vacation in Bora Bora, and if you want to go see the Vatican in Italy, like, that takes a lot of money. It has nothing to do with the amount of debt you have. Now, the debt can get you on your way to saving more money, but he doesn't give any advice really on how to generate wealth or how to quit your job. And I think we're trying to pitch that. He wants everybody to get themselves safe, and then he gives zero advice. He leaves them in preschool. The preschool teacher leaves them in preschool, and he never helps them graduate financial college and really become financially sophisticated and earn higher returns and use positive leverage and generate wealth and passive income. So
I don't think anybody that gets to this step and they're 65 years old and okay, they follow all these steps and they have $1 million in retirement fund thinks they can do anything they want. I think they think, I might live another 25 years and $1 million isn't going to go that far. Yeah. So I need to keep saving money.
So when I talk to, and again, when I talk to people that are 67 and maybe just retired, I don't think they're doing anything they want. It looks like they're not doing anything at all, right? Like they're out of shape. They can't move. They're not going on a 2-week tour to Italy because they worked their whole freaking life for somebody else to not feel good. So even if you have the money, right? Like I have family members, right, that have paid off houses, no debt. They live on Social Security. They live on this plan, right? And they have the ability to do things, but they just can't because it's too late. They took the factor of time out. So like, even if this works, why would you want to wait until you are 67, the age of retirement? Like, Brian is a rare freaking exception of people in their 60s living life. You know, I mean, at least in the United States, in Oklahoma, I don't see a lot of 70-year-olds who are like, yeah, that guy's doing whatever he wants. Yeah. I never say that.
No, I don't think anything about Dave's plan is actually a great financial start for the majority of people. And that's why it's so popular. It's what people should be doing as soon as they get out of college. The problem is most people don't, and they drive themselves into debt, and they find Dave Ramsey's podcast when they're 45, and they're like, man, this guy is telling me what I should have done 20 years ago. So he has value for a lot of people. Obviously, he's super successful. But Dave didn't make his money following his plan. Dave's not rich because he followed his plan. Right? Dave's rich because he, teaches millions of people and he sells millions of courses and millions of books. and has successful radio shows and podcasts. That's why he's rich. He's not rich because he paid off his house. You know, or he saved 15% of his day job income. No, he's not rich because of that.
I guess that's the idea, right? Is like you follow the plan, you get to step 7, you do whatever you want, and hopefully it's interesting enough to generate millions and millions of people watching your content to where you can actually do whatever you want.
You know, if you've listened to his podcast or his radio show, a lot of times people call in and they're either asking a couple of questions. How do I get myself out of debt? Or I'm already out of debt, and so what do you think, Dave? Can I buy the new sports car? And Dave will be like, well, is your house on a 15-year mortgage? And is it, only 25% of your take-home pay? And, are you fully funding your mutual funds? And do you have your 3 to 6 month savings account? Well, if you're checking all the boxes, yeah, John, you can go buy that sports car.
In cash.
The thing is, John shouldn't be going and buying the sports car because John should be working on building his passive income up so he can quit that day job and really eliminate the risk. Okay, but as long as he's checked all of Dave's boxes and Dave says he can go buy the $150,000 car, he'll go buy it. And he'll think, I'm just achieving my life dream. When really he doesn't have any real savings that are earning him a lot of money passively. And so he's, I'll say it, I've said it before, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. Okay, I don't know who said that. I heard it somewhere. But it's really good. Like you have to learn how to have money work for you, and that way you eliminate the need for work in your life, and then you can really do what you want to do. Yeah. If you have a day job working for somebody else as an employee making $50,000, $75,000 a year, you're never going to do whatever you want, even if your house is paid off. Dave says you can, but you can't. Because you got to show up every day and you get so many vacation days a year. And so they really are dictating your freedom. So if you really want to do anything you want in this life, you have to separate your income from your time. And as soon as you do that, then you really do have the time to do whatever you want.
I think it's halfway decent advice, I think, for your example. If you're 40, 45 and have found yourself in a world of hurt and debt, and
this is a plan to get you out.
And a negative balance sheet, right? Like that's a plan to get you to zero. Like that's a plan to get you to a zero net worth from negative whatever you want. I would follow the advice. But if you're trying to go from 0 to $1 million plus in net worth, I would pivot off of Dave Ramsey. I would find a different radio show to listen to. And get some more aggressive advice, right? Even at 45, if you're at 45 and you have a net worth of 0 and you have an income and you can pay your bills, you need to take some risks. You need to build the wealth up. You need to start a business. You need to get a side hustle. You've got to do that. And 45 is not too late to do that. I firmly believe it.
Yeah, what he doesn't focus on here, guys, at all is increasing your income or getting passive income. And so really,
that's the hard part.
I think, I have this example where your income is a stream. It's like a waterfall and it's pouring into your life. And let's say it's $50,000. If you start to save for this bucket, retirement, and save for college fund and save for my mortgage payment, you're siphoning off all this water to where it becomes a little trickle. And there's nowhere else to save, right? And so then you're just done. Then you're cutting coupons trying to save 50 cents at the grocery store. Like there isn't enough there. So what you should do is go upstream and focus a lot of your energy, not on the last couple of % of savings on your income, but building a bigger source, right? Go upstream, create a larger income source where the water's coming over that waterfall so fast you can't contain it and you could never save it all and you don't even need to, right? And that's the kind of lifestyle that we want to help people think about. It's not focus on saving, but only to a means to an end. But your real focus should be on creating a bigger income source. That's where the big returns are going to happen. Yep. All right. I hope that was helpful. Podcast. Cold plunge next week. Send us your video for $100.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's it for Dump on Dave.
Yeah.
Love you. No hard feelings. Hopefully.
Yeah, we liked a lot of his points.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting to not like more of them.
Yeah, we liked most of them.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks. Till next time.
Yep.